Hello, welcome back to Ask a Monk. Today, some quick questions, I think relatively easy to answer. The first one is in regards to monks' names, because it's clearly observable that Buddhist monks have different names that were obviously taken when they ordained. The origin of this is not really clear to me. I think what I would guess is that it's sort of progressed as time went on. What we can clearly see is in the Buddha's time, most people ordaining as monks kept their original name, and there were exceptions to this, but it seems those exceptions were exceptional, that for the most part people kept their original names, and that was no problem because the names were already in Pali, and this was the language that they were speaking. So when they did the ordination ceremony, there was never any thought that the name would have to fit the language of the not the ceremony but the act, the formal act of ordination. The problem was that this act became formalized, or it was set down as a formal act that had to use a specific language. And so when the Buddha's teaching traveled to other places, they still used this old language. And so I would assume that is where the need to change people's names to Pali, or to give them Pali names, arose. And so how that worked exactly, I can't guess, and I'm sure there are people who are more knowledgeable in this than I am. But how it works today depends very much on where you are. Probably the most reasonable method of choosing a Buddhist monk's name is based on the person's name in whatever language that they are, where you simply change it to fit the Pali language. And you do see that to some extent, at least insofar as they try to find Pali words that fit with the person's name. So I can't remember some examples, but I remember trying to figure out what was a good Pali name that sounded like, or Pali words, a term that sounded like a person's name. But how it works a lot of the time is that they will pick a name that has some meaning, and it could be a fairly pretentious or elevated sort of name, and that's what you find in Thailand for the most part. Or for the greater part, you'll find them picking names that sound good, or that have some greatness to them. So my name, Yuttadhammo, or Yuttadhammo, or however you want to say it, means, according to the Thai books, one who has the Dhamma composed. And it's a difficult one to translate. The translation loses something. But the meaning is one who has mastered the teaching, or so on, or has, if not mastered, but has a good grasp of the Buddha's teaching, or of the Dhamma, or of truth, or of reality. Now, when I asked my teacher about the name, he said he changed it a little. He said it means someone who is composed of Dhamma, who is made up of Dhamma, which is which I like a lot. First of all, because it's less ostentatious, but also because it's true. We're all made up of realities, and it's a reminder to look inside to find the truth. That simply coming to understand ourselves is the understanding of reality. Another way that people choose the names is based on the teacher. So I know when my teacher would pick names for nuns, for example, who came and asked him for a name, because for monks it was often taken in a fairly formal way, and they picked it out of a book based on... Oh, that's right, my name was based on this formal system of the day you were born. What day of the week you're born on, they have a book, and they know which letters are going to go well with that day, and it's based on astrology and numerology or whatever. I don't know, it's superstition really. And so my name is a name for a person who was born on a Wednesday night, which I wasn't actually. They got it wrong. I was born on a Wednesday morning, which would have given me another name, but that's another story. So, but the other way that they do it, which is also quite reasonable, I think, is to give it based on one's teacher, and you'll find that here in Sri Lanka as well, I think. So, if my name is Yuttadhammo, I might give all my students names that have the word Yutta in them or the word Dhamma in them, to sort of put my mark or my brand on my students. And I've seen this done. I don't do it, but I haven't done it with people whose names I've chosen, but I don't think I would do such a thing. But my teacher does that. He gives them, my teacher's name is Sirimangalo, and he'll give people the words starting with Siri. So Siri this, Siri that. For the most part, I've seen him give a lot of those names. So this is one of those questions that doesn't really, there's nothing deep or spiritual about the question, but it's one that crops up and a lot of people ask and at least wonder. So good to answer. Thanks for the question.